唔記得咗呢樣嘢。Testing. Should I share this? Like, okay. As I have said, I don't have much time to make this PowerPoint. Actually, today we just talk about some basic knowledge in something we didn't talk about, and we will play some past CTF questions together. So I'll just briefly introduce the concept of hash. So the PowerPoint is very incomplete, so maybe I will just fill that in tomorrow. So one very important aspect in cryptography is hash. So I believe most of you should heard of what is hash, right? So basically, for example, a very common hash is MP5. So basically, it's just you can type whatever string. So, for example, and this hello world string have an MD5 hash of this stuff. So basically, a hash is converting a string to something unpredictable. So it's very easy to, let's say, make hello world into this MD5, but it's very difficult to reverse. Basically, the design of hash is preventing any possible reverse. You might know recently Bitcoin rise to 10K US dollar. And basically, if you can reverse some hash, I think SHA-256. If you can reverse SHA-256, you can make Bitcoin useless, essentially. Because Bitcoin is essentially finding a string which have a SHA-256 less than some value. So it's very difficult to predict hash, and basically impossible to reverse back. So only way you can test for, let's say, I only know this, but I don't know what produced this. So the only way is basically brute force the input, which seems impossible, but actually what Bitcoin miner is doing. Basically, they just test some random input and try to make this hash value to be smaller than something. So this is hash. So you might not know what is used for, but actually it is very useful. Like for example, if a website want to wait. So for example, if a website want to store users' password, what it really do is store the hash of the password instead of password itself. Because, like for example, if some hackers have attacked a server with some technique, and the hacker is available can get the password file. If you just store the password in plain text, then the hacker will know every password. So this is undesirable. So the design of hash is you store a password hash file instead. Even the hacker can get the file. He cannot revert back to the original password plain text. So let's build some hash here. So basically, password you can translate to hash, and you cannot revert back, and that's the situation. So basically, what the server store is this stuff. Also, hash is used to like kind of verifying something. For example, just for example, like when you upload a file to CSE system, it will tell you the MD5 of this file. This is MD5 hash. So we can verify two files. So for example, I have another file. So because the file is different, they are supposed to have different MD5 value, different hash value. So the MD5 here is just used to link this simple string to the file. So if you have other like version of the file, it will create different MD5 and you can know the file is changed. So it's used in anywhere like to check integrity of some file, like some forum with some hacking tool. Uh, let's see. Um, uh, you may know this forum known as Cracking Windows Portal. Password. I remember. Basically, let me find something first. Not in here. For example, as you may know, this is a software to crack Windows 7. it is like it will provide a hash value for the files inside. So if some like hackers or some people with bad purpose want to forge another file, another program with the same name, you will know it by just checking its hash value. So if the hash value are different, the program or the file must be different. So this can check the integrity of file, basically. And some extra knowledge is there are so many versions of Windows Loader. So check the MD5, and most of them have virus. This is the original post from the developer of this cracking software. If you want to play reverse, you might want to reverse that program. Just by the way. So basically, hash is just used for many different purposes. But a collision is bad. So what is a collision? A collision just means two different inputs can produce same hash value. So for example, I have some string 1. If these two strings have the same hash value, the hash scheme is considered as broken because this is not they want to be. So that because this is essentially a flaw, because if you have a string 1, you are supposed to have different strings are supposed to have unique hash value and unpredictable hash value. So if they produce the same hash value, many applications will fail, like checking the integrity, something like that, and those will fail. So MD5 is cracked quite a long time. People create MD5 collision. And I think SHA-1 is also cracked in last year, in this year. So basically, they create two executable files, one printing hello world, one printing the program is evil, but they have the same MD5 value. So MD5 is essentially broken. But people are still using it because seems no one know, like seems only a few people know how to forge MD5, but it can be forged. And yeah, and people just change a few bytes and make them have the same MD5 hash. And also SHA-1 is people find collide pair of SHA-1. I think Google team. In February, like not even a year, they broken SHA-1 in Texas. And they have two documents which have the same SHA-1. So it is also considered as broken. So for any serious hash application, you shouldn't use SHA-1 and MD5. But for not so serious hash application like Hmm? Yeah, something like that. So you should not care too much. Uh, don't try to upload fake file to CSS. Okay, so this is SHA-1 and MD5 hash. I believe just after this SHA-1 crack, there is a CTF in next week, that time. And one question is about SHA-1 collide. Basically, just copy the collide pair here and just copy some blocks here to uh, like forge some SHA-1 collision. So Bitcoin is using SHA-256, basically SHA-3. I should. Bitcoin is using something like this. Or SHA-2, I forgot. Bitcoin is using SHA-2. And it is pretty strong. At least until now, no one how to efficiently collide SHA-2. So this is the thing. And as you might know, there are also other things called CRC. CRC is, let's see if I have any zip file. Yeah. CRC is something like this. It's quite common in zip file, also in PNG, also in JPG and PNG, I think. So basically, it's like parity checking. Do you know what is parity checking? So parity checking is something like if you have a bit string of 001, 001. So a parity checking is basically if you have a bit string of this, and like an even parity checking is if the number of 1 is even, then make the parity bit be 1. So here we have 3 ones. So this is called a parity bit, and we check the number of 1 is off, something like this. And CRC32 is similar. So in any sense, it is not a hash, and it is very easy to reverse. Not so easy, but easy to reverse the CRC32. I think in Google CTF there are questions about CRC. It is quite difficult to implement, but still in principle CRC32 is way too easy to reverse than hash. So this is as I said, server store password into hash of password into server. So how come there are so many lifted passwords? Like for example, there's so many lifted accounts and password combos. So how come? most of this server is really storing the password in hash. The reason is you can make something called a rainbow table. So basically, I've already talked about the password list, right? Uh, um, let's see. Something like this. There are, in fact, some list of commonly used passwords, like the word list, some commonly used passwords. Then people can use this list to try its hash one by one. So if they match, then the user is using this hash, using this password. Like for example, one stupid password is something like this, and you have a and this have a SHA-256 of this. So even if you only know this hash value, you can just use a clever brute force to brute force some commonly used password, and just check the hash value is the same or not. So basically, still using weak passwords is stupid. Some method to protect this is something we call sort. This sort. So to prevent like easily commonly used password to be brute force like this, there's something called sort. Basically, you add something at the front of the string, like I forgot the format, but still. So this is the string, and you add something in the front of it. So if you don't know the sort in the front of it, you cannot use the technique of rainbow table to brute force. But however, if you know the sort value, you can just use use some common password list to brute force one by one. This is a technique called sort. Basically, you add something in front, and you hide that sort well. Like if you didn't sort it, then you can just find some online reverse tool to just search for some match. For example, not SHA-256. Quite sure it's SHA-256. Maybe we just try MD5. It's much easier. The same website have MD5 reverse. Anyway. something like this. So basically, it's easy to reverse. If you have a lookup table or something. If you don't have a sort, so if you have a sort, it's basically no one will be able to look up. Like add something in front. Basically, this you cannot look up. Like, so no reverse string is fine. So unless you know the sort, then you can just run some software. For example, I think Kali has many software. How to make the font size smaller. Like John the Ripper. Something like this. This tool just help you to pass in a partial list and, for example, pass in a sort. It just helps you to crack basically brute force one by one. There are two doing this, and some weird CTF will use this because this is kind of very commonly used in the industry, though not the CTF. In the security industry, this is very common too. So this is it, and this is hash. So another thing I need to explain a bit is the secret sharing. You might, I don't think you have seen it. So basically, it is demonstrated at this link. Demo page. Basically, for example, you have a secret string, like if you set the, and you can set the number of share and threshold. Number of share is how many different string you divide into. So here number of share is 10. So you provide 10 different real string. And how can you recover the information? You just pick any free, because I set the threshold to be free. So you can pick any free string from here. So like something like this. And combine. You will combine that into a complete message. This is called a secret sharing scheme, where you split the message into like multiple portions and require at least some amount to solve the to extract the original message. It's very easy to recognize because it has a fixed format. Like for example, you have like 01, 02. So it's kind of easy to recognize. It is using SSSS. And basically, there are only the most commonly used secret sharing scheme is SSSS. So basically, just something you need to know. And if you see it in future, you know it is this thing. So if your threshold, if your share is not enough, so you might your share is not enough, it cannot recover the original message. So basically, it's something like share secret and yeah, it is pretty safe. So this is a success. Because basically I taught many basic foundational knowledge in last 3 lessons, like the classic cipher, the RSA as the representative of public key crypto system. We have also taught AES and the block operating mode. So basically, those are really the basics of crypto. If you really want to see some new topics, you can see those. Okay, and here's the main part of today. Basically, we are going to play CTF questions, and at least let you have a feel to know how we attempt. So this is a list by, I think I've talked before, by Shiro, the cryptographer from Binja team. So we just try some easy first. For example, let me delete something first. You can just search a question on Google, and there are, of course, write-up, but don't see the write-up because we want to try the question. There is a GitHub collab called CTF. It is basically an auto-generated write-up list. This is auto-generated by some bot. So we can just find the question, and you have all the statistics and stuff like that. So this is, and you have a source file here. So we just open that. And the question description is something like this. In the competition. So you can see not many hints given. Just as NC server. I think the NC server script is inside the zip file, so we can actually play with it. In the zip file, you have provide a py file, a Python file. So let's just see what the Python file look like. Something like this. So basically, if you see something like this, Anyway, so this is some script from CTF question. Wait. So basically, This is the script of where the server is running. So if you're at the CTF that time to NC this server, it's basically doing something like this, creating you welcome to servers, register or log in, something like that. And there are not really not much hints. Integrity might be a hint. Might be the question wants you to forge something to block the integrity. So we examine the script itself. So it is running using Python. A minus use is some outmount to let the CTF host to just host the question a bit easier. So nothing important. So you can see it using MD5 and AES just by the library it import. Alarm is just nothing important. So and it use some random scheme. Because it's using AES, so you can guess ES equals 16 is the block size. Just by guessing. So this is the block size. The regular block size of AES, really. So you have a padding scheme. For those who don't know, lambda is some functional statement. So basically, this is a function where input S will produce this output. This is people want to try to write a function using very simple form, and this is the solution. So and it writes some pad and unpad function. We will go to just mark this as padding scheme, and we will go here later. So the scheme is a class where this whole stuff is the scheme. This whole stuff is the scheme. So the scheme basically to encrypt and decrypt. Just examine the structure. By the way, I never attempt this question, so just same with you. I'm first time seeing this, maybe second time. So you have a key, just like regular AES, but it implements its own kind of own encryption and decryption function, and it's using CBC mode. So basically, we know this is some script running some AES CBC. What it's trying to do is you can actually put this file into Kali and run it. So basically, you can just put the script into Kali and try to run it and see what happens. This should be similar to what the competition server is doing. Like it's similar to NC to this server when there is a competition. You see it's trying to read a flag, so you just randomly make some flag. Okay, and you see it runs, and it's telling to register or log in. Let's try register. So I think after register, you can type something here, and it gives you a secret. Because we know it is using AES CBC, so this might be some encryption result. And after a certain amount of time, it just shut you down. So this alarm useful, just shut you down. So nothing important. So basically, if you type register, you cannot type too long name. So register, if you want to type a long name, it is stopping you to do so. Exclamation P is just repeating last command with start at P. And it prevents you to use admin, and you can encrypt arbitrary. You can encrypt arbitrary name except admin, or except heading of admin, and give you the secret of encrypt. If logged in, it just requires you to input the secret, I guess. Input script is just scripting some non-printable character, so nothing important. So and it try to decrypt. If the name is if it decrypts to be admin, just print flag. So it's clear the task is you need to forge something to pass this to fulfill this constraint. Yet you know scheme.encrypt.admin. Yet you can, if you can know this with name equals to admin or something else, or somehow you know this, you can just input that to here and I'll print out the flag. And it is using CBC. So let's see how the scheme is working. Because it mentioned pet name should not be equals to the admin, so we can see the pet scheme. Pet is just some string, add some let's see. BS is block size. Length as mod BS is the remaining of so something like this. And mod 16, you divide it into 16 block size. And this is length of S mod PS. So this amount times some string as some character. CHR is I think you should see it elsewhere in some language. It's just turning this into corresponding character of this ASCII code. So what this really does is the PKCS7 scheme. Remember, the PKCS7 scheme is if the last block is not filling enough the block size. So for example, block size is 16, right? So for example, the last block you just have 2 characters. You just add, because there are 14 remaining, So you just add 14 x 14. This is the PKCS string. As PKCS 7 scheme, which this is doing, because this is 14 and it is 14 times character 14, so basically doing the PKCS 7 scheme. And unpack is something similar. You just get the last one. In Python, s-1 is, I think you should know, is the -1 is means the last character of the string, the last element of the string. So basically, this is just picking the last element of string, turning it into number, and return except those. So basically, just reverse this path. So pattern have nothing nothing too serious. So encryption scheme is just pad the row first and put the MD5 in front. Digest is something you can try. If you try MD5, it's giving you a MD5 hash object. So digest is just the function return it to the corresponding string. Just you can just see this as MD5 the row. You put an MD5 in front and setting some random IV and return the encrypted string after mode CBC using its key. So basically, we can put arbitrary things like some input. Assume we can pass admin to it. We just add the admin to the block. Just add the admin and add the MD5 of this info. Length of MD5 is, I forgot, should be 16 or 32. 16. So this is one block, this is another block. In ESCP, your 16 is one block, right? Or if not, I mean it's something longer, then you might have some extra blocks. And you just encrypt this using random IV and using CBC, using unknown key. So the idea here is just try to input something which pass this test, to try to leak out the possible encryption result of admin perspective. One clear idea is just to make an extra block. So for example, if you put this as input, after passing, it will become this. So the last block is exactly the same as just as you put admin into the input. But you will still pass this test because it is doing pet name equals pet admin. Because pet name here is this stuff. Pet name here is this stuff. Yet pet admin here is this. Is only this. So it does not equal and it passed. And we try to recover the information of admin pet here. So you try, and you need to know what is CBC doing. CBC encryption is essentially doing so CBC encryption is really doing something like this. You might, but if you pass this to encrypt, it should return 3 blocks, right? Because the front one is MD5 of this code. So in fact, it is encrypting something like this, and 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. So how we can retrieve this thing? You know the block 3 here is same with the block 2 here, right? I will just try this one first. So this is the result of encrypting this. So you can see this is this is 128 bytes wide. Two bytes. Let me remember something. If you forgot something, you can just go to Wikipedia, or you can just test it like here. If you have any idea, you can just say. We're just playing together, try to learn how to like approach this question. Let's see. IV should be 16. Encode hex. is encode hex. Because each byte is encode hex, if you write it in hex, it is 2 hex. So here we have 128 hex. This is 64 byte. 64 byte is 4 times 16. So the first 16 is the IV, and block 1, ciphertext block 1, ciphertext block 2, ciphertext block 3, so 64. So any idea? Note, we know this, as well as we know this, because we can just calculate it and define of this. It's very easy. And also, we kind of know this value, because you know P2 is 16A, right? And after P3 goes to the P, it is just XOR with 16A. So we can know the string, the value of P3 just after the P, after encrypting it with the P. We can know this value by just XOR this C3 with A. Any idea? What? You know the C2 for the NV actual answer. You mean? Oh, you mean the C2 here? Yeah. So basically, here is something similar to this, but just a different P1 and P2. Because we know the value here. This is just same with the value here. And we also know P1. Where P1 is just some MD5 admin percent. We know the last block of cipher. Then can we put the MD5 from MD5 and include it again? Yeah. Yeah, you can do it like this, but I think you don't need to. Let me think. You need to. So, yeah, that's a good idea. So you can also put this value, this MD5 value as the input there. So what you will get is encrypting something like this. And using the same technique, you can get the C1 block. Yeah. So let me try to copy it. Because I don't have time to put that file into the server, so I will just play it here. So P10, how to make this hostable. Yeah. So using this command, what I'm doing is just host it into my local computer. So if I nc localhost AAA is to be connected. So in Linux, a simple short form of localhost is just 0. So you see it's linked to here. And you can just add it as a server, but only accessible to your own computer. If you want this to accessible to other computer, you need to set the router, which I cannot because this is USB. Okay, and let's practice Ubuntu a bit. So we can just hide this. So I hope you remember the basic Ubuntu command. So this is NCCOAA, and just read the two dumb line. Okay. So we need to register with a name this right. So just send R and send this payload. You don't need to send a path, he will pack for you. So the output is something like this. So here is a dumb line. And this following line is the encrypted stuff. So you can just what should I call it? And this is in hex form. Because it's receive line, I need to remove the last new line character. So something like this. From start until the last one. So remove the last print line character, new line character. And because it's a hex, what should I do? We can just learn from the code here. It's using encode hex, so we can use decode hex. So let's print this first. So this is the code, well, in string form. Or you can just do it in hex, is still fine. So So we know there are 4 blocks here, and what we care is the value here. So what we care indeed is the first block, the ciphertext of first block. So what's this? Because I don't bother to change it into non-hex, so because each block is 16 bytes, so in hex it is 32. So I need the last 32. Right, last 32. Last 32. Yeah. So this is the last 32. We can just keep testing it. And we know XOR is this, so we try it. But remember, this is a string, so you need to kind of change it into number. Change it into number. It's hex, so we just do something like this. Make this as integer in base 16. And we XOR just call this intermediate string. XOR 16A. So you need to do 16A and wait. You need to encode this 16A into hex first because it is string, right? And do the same stuff. So this is XOR in Python. So we try to print actually. It should be a number. So hex it. 我點 decode 佢 How to convert a number to hex? I forgot. Something like this. Yeah. So this is the intermediate value. So we know the intermediate values. So we know this intermediate value is just this. So we can just XOR the correct hex to get the second block. It is kind of complicated, but not that difficult. Well, if you can do it in time, it is not difficult. The really difficult one is given enough time, you still cannot do it. Or even worse, you don't have the idea for it. Like in the whole 48-hour CTF. This is kind of easy. So you just XOR the P1. What's P1? P1 is MD5 admin plus patch. The MD5 is used is hex library MD5, so we just follow it. How to use MD5? This. So MD5 of admin pad is just we can just copy this padding scheme here. So try to debug it. So this is MD5 admin plus pad, so MD5. PS is not defined, so this is the thing we want. And if we want to XOR it, we still need to do the make it into a hex thing. So we just make it into a hex, anchor hex. And MD5 and C2 will be I3 XOR in MD5 admin5. So you can try it on your own. It's all there. So print. So here I just do, because I have the I3, I have P1, so I just make it into C2. So this is C2 already. So how we construct C1 is using similar method. This time we send this value here. You send this value inside. And so, or you can just, there you go. So this is P1, this is P2, and do a similar stuff. And as you know P1, you can know this intermediate value. You can get C2 from the server. You have P1. So these two XOR will be this one. So you get this intermediate value R2. And this intermediate R2 is, because P2 is this, is exactly the same as P1 here. So this is R2. And you just construct arbitrary RV here is fine. But you can also make RV be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and so this is R2. So remember we just get this line. So we need to get this one also. Yeah. So basically, after we get this line, we just send once more out. This time we send MD5 admin perspective. So we send this thing without encoding it to X. And still receiving the input. Receive this line first and receive the input. And get rid of the last new line character. So this is this stuff. I just try to make it feel better. I might use that later. So now I have this C2. This C2 is here, MD5 pad, pad C. I just name it. This C2 is the C2 there. If you input an admin and it is successfully run, so this MD5 admin pad C is this. And we need to explore the MD5 of MD5 admin pad. So intermediate I2 is just make this into a number first. And we need MD5, double MD5, right? So this is intermediate I2. Radio error. Which one is causing me error? Encode hex, yeah. No, it's giving me a hex, right? I need the last 32 of this. So this is just getting the last block of this input. I forgot this thing. And I also forgot to make this to be hex. So can you follow me? Basically, we successfully forced C2 and now we want to force C1. And we can use the same technique before. Just put the MD5 and mid cap here because there isn't any limitation on this thing. So basically we can just pass this as input and the server is returning me something like this. And we can use the last block information to XOR with the plain text of the first block to get this intermediate value. And this intermediate value is same as this because here the P1 of what we want to graph is the P2 of is the P2 here, and the key is same, so this is same. So this dot is this dot, and knowing this I2, we can just use our whatever I like, make this all 0, and so the C1 will be I2. Okay. So basically the flow is, from start the flow is so we first input this A16 type technique, and the last block of this encrypted output is P2 XOR with this intermediate value I2 is P2 where P2 is A times 16. So basically A times 16 XOR the intermediate I3 there. So with this I3 we can get the C2 of where we want to graph. Target is graph IV plus C1 plus C2, which this is cipher, where decrypt the cipher is tether-amin. So so I have this, so I can get I3. So I3 get, if I have I3, so I3 XOR with this P1 here will be C2 of our target. So I can get C2 by I3 XOR MD5 and min-pack. So we get C2. And how we get C1 is we input another payload. Is where another payload is just MD5 and min. Okay. We input this payload and using the same method from last block of payload encrypt output. This is equal to this P1 XOR this intermediate value I2. So T1 here is MD5 of this thing. So this is this X for I2. So same I2 get. And if we get I2, we can just make IV be all zero. Because I2 because the first block C1 is just XOR the IV with I2. So I can achieve by just 0 times 16 to the IV. To the IV. And I2 and C. Can follow me. Basically just follow the flow and try to craft something we want. Because it's not blocking too many, it just blocks the admin perspective. So we can just craft another block and admin perspective to lie that, to pass that restriction. And basically we can construct the other thing. This is the idea. And knowing this stuff isn't that difficult. So MD5 and MD5, MD5. This is I2 and receive line. How can we log in? Give this secret, right? Let me try this. Yes. So send line login, and we send a hex into there. So hex of 16 byte 0 is just 32-0. And I2 and C2. Hope this works. And then, in principle, we finish our task, so we just make that to interactive. Cannot concatenate string and long. I need to make them hex because I never make them hex. Get EOF. Let's see what happened. Get EOF means something wrong. So we need to see what happened. Because we are hosting a server, we actually can see the error. So you say in a file and reading a line. So weird. Let's try to output this same line first. So basically, if we try our interactive here, what will happen? If you type our interactive before some command, so you will stop here, and it won't run after here. can still type here. Yeah. So up to this point, everything is still fine. Am I sending? And I need to receive that line too, so it should be fine. Log in. So this, I guess this stuff is error. Let's just print this stuff first. Because the hex function is returning 0x, which is not part of the hex, just indicating it is a hex. So we need to, and this is kind of a string, and we need to get rid of this 0x. So how can we get rid of the 0x? It's just ignore the first two. We can just check by this. The 0x is gone. And we can just send that into welcome none. So weird. They give me a none. So let's see what happens. The name is none. That is so weird. That is also some bug caused by Python, because what the name is none is implying is that this function is returning a none here. None is usually, like in other language, is null. Something like null pointer or something like that. Just 0. And it is reduced. It is giving me a 0. So let's see. Default hex. If you want to test, it's kind of simple. But I don't have the key. Let's see. Maybe modify something. I2C. Should be fine. Let's try to debug. Yeah, it's 3 blocks. Weird. By the way, another technique you can use, because when CTF is giving you this file, right? You can host your own server, right? Just like what I did here. So you can kind of modify your server code. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to do. I just reduce this constraint first and try to like input admin and see this output and compare it to this. The first two blocks should be different because the IV, but the third block should be the same. So I have indirect here, so I can just register with them. So this implies we did something wrong because our third block is different. So what did I just do wrong? And we need to debug. Payload A16 to admin. And we can try to assert, like, to prevent we do something wrong. Last 32. Let's see. Admin pet digest. Anchor AM 10 to 16. Try to check something. You can just try to do your own. Many times it's just silly mistakes. Yeah. Pass all the effort. Yet the last part is still different. Maybe I missed out something. Ah, that's what I'm missing. So sad. I get it wrong as the theme is kind of wrong. I always mess it up. I mean, something different. I mean, it's something different. But it's kind of same. This can exist, so if that is the case, you can still make something similar. Then we need to plot C1 first. Let's shower and error. P2 is good. Big system. Any idea? Target doesn't change, so the target is still something like this. I think just the scale change. You can still try something like this, but okay, still more complicated than I thought in terms of content. So this doesn't work so much. Target is still the same. But this time we want to we are getting C2 XOR P3 here, which P3 is P3, and our target is so if we can the difficulty is V1 though. So an idea is we try to do many times. We try to recover how to let's see. I think it doesn't really be the thing, but I'm thinking how. V1 So first Yeah. You might find that C1 of MD5 of. So how you find a C1 test of program? So I mean like to run the key and complex generation like with MD5 of MD5 of MD%. So this you input MD5 and input MD5 of MD5 admin plus admin because of the bounds should be like something like MD5 right. So what do you mean we try to get RVC1 and C2 such that it decrypts to be something deep, like MD5 and intercept and intercept. Yes, you can forge RV to be, you can just make RV to be 0 and still you need to know this 0 value. Because you cannot, this C1 is just such that the RV C1 and C2 is kind of limited, such that these three combined together can decrypt into it. But if you like enter MD5 and input that, then it will be something like this. Basically, it's still the problem, but remember. So you are the inputs to the encryption function is C1 XOR C2 here, which is kind of what is the program mode? The program mode is not C1 plus C2 plus C2. The program output is it gives you, if you input 2 blocks here, it gives you something like this. So why because this is encrypting P2 C1. That's the point. So you don't know this C1 is, yeah. But you can make this be IV though. If you make this C1 be IV there, so it is doing P2 as well, C1. And this C1 should be single. So maybe then we can just do something. Let's verify the theory. If we it cannot be more than 32, so cannot be more than 2 blocks. But if we like input this, what will happen? What happens is we have 3 blocks still. And here P2, P3 is same with the target P1, P2. P1. This one, P1, P2. P2, P3 is same. And I think we can input this, right? Yeah, because pattern name is still not telling me, just MD5 protected. So it's pass. So if we force this RV with this C1, then this will be, this P2 is MD5 and this C1 is this. If we make this C1 be RV, so the input will be the same. And the output should be the same because it's using the same key. So if the output is the same, then it's just because P3 is same with P2 and C1 is same with C2. It's just identical. We can try if this will turn out more simple. So the pair function. That means digest plus admin auto receive cipher text You mean? The ID, the P1. Yeah, P1, yeah, this. But the P1 is the program generator. The program is doing each time. Yeah, it's a anti-bug of whole thing. Oh, yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter that much. Because we can just make this to R, and it is still the same. So we got C1, C2, and C3. C2 is same as C1. And IV. So we can just cancel the IV, like remove the IV, such that it becomes IV and C1 and C2. Remove the IV. Send one login. Turns out more easy. So we send this payload. This tag is added by them, so don't worry. Tag admin, MD5 plus admin. And we receive the fiber text as IV, C1, C2, and C3. We want to make this C1 be then IV, such that the rest of them is just set the same. So we can just remove the closed block. Because it's hex encoded, so each block is 32. And we can just send them this stuff and see what happens. I can add that back. So this is turned out to be more simple. Just turn out more trivial. So basically something like this. So any questions? Just make this simple. Because the flow is working like this, and you can make an arbitrary IV. So here we just make the IV to be this C1, and as P2 and is as we craft the P2 we craft is same with P1 we want. P3 we craft is same with P2 we want, and IV is same. So this C1, C2, C3 is just IV, C and C1 and C2. We try one easy. We try one more easy. I think we can try R3. This should be true too. You see, an RSA question with 255 points. Basically, just means it's trivial. We download the file. Well, fact.b64. If we look it in text editor, it just seems to look like base 64. This is just hex editor, nothing special. And hints by the file name, it is in base 64 and also the ending equal sign. So most likely this stuff is base 64 of flag, of encrypted flag. So we can just go to some online base 64 decoder and see its content, but I think it should be decoded. So what's so weird? Sometimes the website doesn't work. Yeah, it is not. It's some kind of encrypted. So key is here. This is the official format of RSA key. It is some public key format. So remember last time I cannot open the key of HSBC is because some header and some foot. Basically, this is what a real public key looks like. Note this is source. Remember our RSA key is kind of safe if the modulus is big enough. Like, you cannot factorize the modulus, else it is broken. So the modulus should be big enough, like at least 1024 bits or minimal 512 bits. But here the whole file is just, well, small. So I guess it can be just be factorized. So how can we retrieve the RSA information from just this format? There is a tool. I just copy that into my let me offset. So basically this is something like this. There is a tool which can easily let you obtain the information as I try to remember that. In kpub string per sub. Let me remember stuff first. It's in puff format. Let me remember stuff first. I forgot which format is this. The probably. What? See. So weird, this key. Let me Google for it. I really forget. RSA key. I used to type it very fast, but pop in. What? This is different too. let's see. Well, Google is very useful. Just copy and paste. Alternatively, yes. Just use Google results. So you see the public key is only like 399 bits. It might be easy to decrypt. So this is just the modulus, the n in hex form with some weird format. So, yeah. Well, still better than original form. We can just well, I forgot how to replace in Vim. So I just use whatever. I just use a whatever register and do it by hand. Well, it works. Here's this stuff. Let's try to put it in FactorDB. And factorize. So you can just quickly write a script to, because you know, let's revise in RSA a bit. So phi-n is basically so we have E, we have phi-n. If we factorize PQ, we have phi-n. And we can just quickly do an inverse of 4 and P. And that's essentially RSA. So that's why if we can find PQ, we can just find ED easily. Also, if we can know ED, we can similarly we can know PQ using a different method. No. 有 break 未啊？啱一路都 break 緊嘅。No。對咩夠啊？我 send 咗。係啊，呢份。咪睇住好多嗰啲位同埋。我跟住跳嗰個。咩啊？Okay. So basically we can quickly write a script. So n equals to this stuff, g equals to this stuff. Sometimes people add a L at the end just to indicate it's long. It doesn't really so matter. TP is very useful. So phi here is you can say it's this or p minus 1 times q minus 1. So here is as usual 65537 as the previous so E is still 65537. Just import some library to and the result is in what's that file called? flag.b64. f.read is flag. So let's just print it first. Oh. So something like this, and still we're changing the string into a kind of integer. So basically, number, so number to string. If it is using simple decryption, then awk length, so we might need to add some pattern. One simple method to just ignore the pattern is just add a 0 in front, so it's not awk length. How to make a string to this integer? Let me think. Integer string 變咗 integer。咁 ， ，咁 just confirm. Firebird. Long has it up. 0 is again so sad. Yeah, so that's the fact. Just if you have PK, just factorize the n and recover the d and just do test block decryption. So this should be easy. Like real easy. Don't even require you to use some tool or simple script. Let's try out another stuff to see if it is easy or not. This one is even more soft, so this one is too trivial. It's just same with what I did, except it's giving you the factorization. So it's just dumb question. I don't repeat them. This is the usual. This one is kind of not so easy, but still I can make a start from it. It's giving you a PCAP. So for those who don't know PCAP is just a network log. Basically, it captures like the network situation, the input flow, input like stream and output stream, something like that. So let me just download it. It is kind of used in forensic, but we kind of need to know multi aspects. So even if you are doing other non-crypto stuff, you might still need crypto knowledge. So PCAP file can be opened by Wireshark, which is a very common and useful and strong tool. And if you have a new version, you should update it. And let's see the question description. Some guy in the cooperation get the packet capture. Unfortunately, it's using TLS. So maybe the hint is TLS. For those who don't know, TLS is transport layer scheme. Yeah, so basically some scheme. So, and it should be trivial. Yeah. 這個換題嗱，做一次啊，全部有答案，應該有錢。Okay, so basically we're interested in the certificate because usually encryption happens in certificate. and also maybe some key exchange and something like that. Basically, you can't find anything useful here because all are encrypted. So maybe the protocol, the certificate is just wrong. So let's see. Or is it the certificate? Let's see the protocol. I need to recover. I need to kind of find the cert. It should locate here, as I remember. Yeah. You can see it's RSA with AES, but it still depends on. Public key info. Public key. So let's see how to extract that. You can just copy and paste, but I prefer like do it differently. I don't recognize the format, but still. Let's see. I don't know where is it located, so maybe this is the public key already. So we can I think I can copy it, but it seems I can't. So maybe I just it's giving me or yeah. I forgot how to copy stuff in PCAP, so just do it. So dumb. Just do it manually. So case. So maybe this is the modulus already. Let's try to see the RSA is broken or not. Same Feynman model. Seems pretty normal. And seems is kind of back modulus. Yeah. So weird. Maybe I copy wrong. I don't know. But I guess it's the RSA stuff. Just pass it in some script to run. There are a number of RSA scripts, import. Let's see the format. I forgot it. Let's just use some tool to crack. It claims this is easy, so maybe just some tools and crack it. E is kind of weird here. In some case it doesn't, it must want you to use long, so you must have a long here. Let's see example. because we don't care here, so we just enter and so you can see it's firmware attack. What firmware is if a modulus have factors that are close to each other, like even is big, like this may be like 2048 bits, but if P and Qs are really close, like only difference by a very small value, it can be factored using the firmness method. So you can just use 2 to solve it. So the principle here is not interesting, so I'm not talking about it. So basically, it can factorize the n and thus recover the private key. So you can just, after that, you can just use the continue to do operation in Wireshark. Because in Wireshark you can actually, I think, kind of decrypt the TCP information using key. I forgot what there are. I forget the location though. Capture file property. I forgot how to decrypt it though. Yeah, you can decrypt it by inputting a key here and decrypt the information. So I think the point is just to attack the RSA using firmware attack to factorize the thing and get the private key. So basically you can see in CTF we usually just have some different medias of file, like often in crypto is Python source file or other language, but it's kind of the same. Sometimes you have a server to connect. Sometimes they will give you a script and you need to kind of examine some intrinsic error they do. So I hope after this few lessons you can at least do easy stuff, and you may try to like continue to research it. I don't know. Like even you're doing in other fields, I hope you to at least know some basic knowledge, and it is sometimes useful. Like sometimes even I'm doing crypto, I need to know some forensic stuff, some foreign stuff. I remember last time in a crypto system, you have a 1 byte buffer overflow that can change the value of RSA, the exponent. It's so weird. Yeah, I think that's it. And actually, I think the second and third lesson is most important. It's just kind of wrapping up. I'm not here in next semester, so if you want to find me, just Facebook me or whatever, and use Slack more often. We actually kind of using Slack a lot. Like in previous competitions. Yeah, they are kind of solving in Slack, and we kind of putting out the script and stuff. So if you have any question or you want to play along, just communicate with us instead. Basically, they are like we are doing playing CTF or yeah. And yeah, you have if you have any question, just ask. Yeah, that's it. I think this is the last crypto, but I think next week we'll still have phone, right? Yeah, next week we'll have the last phone. So this Saturday, I think we have a CTF. I forgot which one. If you have time, or if you have late exam or whatever, you can just play along. This one should be interesting. Kind of weird, but should be interesting. It's an attack defense, so it must be interesting. Online attack and defense. Something I never seen. Yeah, and web. But it's online, so maybe it's kind of different. Yeah, it's weird because attack and defense usually is on site. So you actually have a server here, and you have many servers to host them. So one server's down is just means the other people can get their points, something like that. So if you have more servers are keeping up, then you just winning more. But it's kind of weird that people hosting online attack and defense. It's my first time too, so let's see. And CMC have a high rating, don't know why. Some Russia competition, I think. Crypto is kind of what my point you have fewer online resources. So you might want to, if you want to play more crypto, you might want to see more write up or do some self exercise like just like what I did here. But like pawn, like reverse is not so easy. Reverse also needs exercise. The pawn have many resources, I think, and more this year. And also web has many resources. Because basically people are doing web every day. What? So this is it.